You know what they say? It's always gonna be a good day when you're walking through the archway. Hey there, humanoids. Mr. Nooks and Crannies here. Today we are at Universal Studios Florida, very rainy Universal Studios Florida, to check out the Tonight Show Museum, which is part of the queue line for Race to New York with Jimmy Fallon. Now, most people usually push right through this section and never get to check out the story that's being told at the Tonight Show and see the cool props. So why don't you grab your thank you notes and head right this way. Now, this building is made to look like 30 Rock, which is where they film the Tonight Show. Let's go in there and see what it's all about. All right, as soon as you walk into the building, it tells you to head towards the lobby. And you got pictures from the Tonight Show, but more interesting here on this side are all of the retro NBC logos. Oh, the legendary Roots Crew. Let's move. And then here is the NBC Tonight Show Museum. Now, people normally rush right through this part because they are only interested in the ride. But we're interested in the history. All right, here in this first display case, we have one of the OG NBC RCA television cameras.
This monochromatic television camera was the first black and white NBC camera ever replaced by a color camera. This mint condition camera still retains its original NBC and WNBT markings and is thought to have been in service from 1947 to 1955. The dolly it sits on has been fully restored to its original condition. It is constructed of mostly aluminum and brass in order to minimize its magnetic profile.
Let's take a look and see what it looks like from afar. So, as you can see, it can be pushed backwards and forwards, and then the camera itself can go from side to side. Made in the Houston Fearless Panorama Dolly, or it's a Houston Fearless Panorama Dolly. I would assume they made it in Houston as well. Some other props there, on air. There we go. The first black and white camera replaced at NBC. All right, this second display here has a more modern camera. Looks like this is the television.
This television broadcast camera is one of the last standard definition cameras used by NBC when it switched over to high-def broadcasting in the 1990s during the Jay Leno era. This type of camera was primarily used on a pedestal dolly as currently displayed.
Excellent. J16X Super. There's some cue cards. Let's see. I wonder if I can recognize where that's from. Probably just from an episode of The Tonight Show. But you never know.
All he did was drink, and all he cared about was whiskey. The house was filled with cases of liquor. That's why I shot him. Oh, sounds like more of a drama.
There's some old production crew jackets there. Additional television camera equipment. All right, let's see what's up here. All right, here's the first host of The Tonight Show, Steve Allen, from 1954 to 1957. And they have these little sound domes. When you stand under them, you can hear dialogue from the show, and there's the corresponding image from the show that's being profiled. Some relics during his time as the host. Got him on the TV guide. And words and music, so I guess he was a comedian and a musician as well.
In 1953, Steve Allen created a late-night talk show variety show for NBC's New York flagship station, WNBT-TV. The following year, Allen took the program national as The Tonight Show.
Typewriter. There's a television of the ages from when he was the host. There you go, the OG, Steve Allen. And then we've got Jack Parr from 1957, 1952. Television of the age from when he was the host. And again, there's that sound dome. Tonight, starring Jack Parr.
In 1957, the morning show host on CBS, Jack Parr, took over the program from Steve Allen and initiated the tradition of naming the show after toast. Tonight, starring Jack Parr, and later The Jack Parr Show. Known for his witty and thought-provoking interviews, Parr is perhaps best remembered for walking off the show in the middle of the broadcast after a dispute with NBC censors over the word water closet. "I'm leaving The Tonight Show," he said. "There must be a better way of making a living than this." His absence lasts nearly a month before he returned to the show and quipped, "As I was saying before, I was interrupted." Excellent.
There's him on the TV guide. And then we jump to Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson was the host when I was born, 1979, and I stayed up many a night to watch his show, even though I probably shouldn't have been allowed to. He was host from 1962 to 1992. There's that sound dome. There's a television of the age from when he was host. Oh, somebody's being called. There's one of his suits. And of course, his show started with Ed McMahon saying, "Here's Johnny," which was parodied in The Shining. He said a little more angry though. "Here's Johnny." Horrible Jack Nicholson. There looks to be a little section of his desk or a reproduction of some TV guides from his era. Now, they don't say whether or not this is an original prop, but that was one of his most famous reoccurring characters who could predict what was in the sealed envelope. Usually took the long way around for a joke, but funny nonetheless. Let's see here.
In 1962, the affable young host of an afternoon game show, Who Do You Trust?, took over The Tonight Show. Johnny Carson would go on to host the show for 30 years, a reign that would ultimately earn him the title of the King of Late Night. Yes, sir.
Emmy that he won for his show, I'm sure one of many. And stayed up late to watch a final episode. Well, it says, "Goodbye, Johnny." Learn from Johnny Carson that Abraham Lincoln jokes usually don't go over very well. So, there's that. And then, of course, love him or hate him, Jay Leno had two stints as host from 1992, to 2009, and then again from 2010 to 2014. There he is. And, of course, he was the center of the big late night wars when the natural successor for The Tonight Show, David Letterman, got passed over for the role. So he jumped over to CBS. And I believe he won that war up until he had on, what's the British guy's name who got caught with the prostitute? Anyways, I'll insert his name here. Anyways.
Jay Leno had served as permanent guest host for Johnny Carson before inheriting the show upon Carson's retirement in May of '92. Leno had his set redesigned to bring his monologue closer to the studio audience, playing to his strengths of a stand-up comedian. He also popularized a number of new comedy segments, including Headlines, in which he would make fun of humorously worded newspaper clippings, Jaywalking, a variation of the Man on the Street segment, and after two decades at the top of the ratings, Leno left The Tonight Show in May of 2009.
And he left. He gave the show to Conan O'Brien over there. We'll go check him out. And then he screwed Conan O'Brien. I was Team Coco. Anyways, there's his desk, or reproduction of his desk. And he's on Time Magazine. There's a hacky sack with The Tonight Show on it. Yeah, that's what tickets to The Tonight Show looked like at the time. One of his many Emmys, I'm sure. Oh man, what's that British guy's name? Anyways, on the Coco. And then here's Conan O'Brien, shortest reign of any host from 2009 to 2010. I'm glad that they at least gave him his dues here in the Tonight Show NBC Museum. And there is one of his suits. Hat from when he was host, and what a ticket would have looked like at the time.
In September 1993, Conan O'Brien made his television debut on The Late Night with Conan O'Brien after working as a writer on such television comedy institutions as Saturday Night Live and The Simpsons. O'Brien's brand of irreverent humor proved to be a hit with the late-night audience, including memorable sketches like If They Made It, In the Year 2000, and Triumph, the Insult Comic Dog. Now there is Triumph
himself. Now, I love Triumph, the Insult Comic Dog. Had his CD, had a t-shirt, everything. Yeah, he was the best part of the show. For me to poop on. Anyways.
When Jay Leno was giving up his studios in 2009, it was his time to host, but it was short-lived. O'Brien went on to launch a new late-night talk show, Conan, on TBS, and just recently started a new show, I believe, as well, too.
And then finally, our current host, Jimmy Fallon, and the namesake of this ride here. He started hosting in 2014 to the present here. There's one of his suits. There's what he looks like, if you didn't know. There's some of his covers, GQ, Vanity Fair. There's hashtag the Panda. Of course, one of his most famous sketches is they have bands come on and do their songs with kindergarten music toys with the legendary Roots crew. Now that's when I knew, when I heard that his house band was going to be the Roots, a Philadelphia-based rap organization, was going to be his house band. I knew that it was going down on the Tonight Show. There's some more of the tickets, what it would look like if you're going to the Tonight Show. Yeah, let's see what it says.
After a celebrated run on Saturday Night Live, Jimmy Fallon assumed the role of talk show host when Late Night with Jimmy Fallon premiered in March 2009. 5 years later, on February 2014, he made a big move to the Tonight Show, famously returning the show to Studio 6B at 30 Rockefeller Center.
The show was in California for the longest time, but Jimmy Fallon brought it back. And that's what this building is themed to, 30 Rock.
Hey, you want to get out of here?
In New York City.
Like Johnny Carson and Jay Leno before him, Jimmy Fallon has consistently ranked number one in the ratings. I don't know if that's true anymore. Ensuring that the Tonight Show remains the gold standard in late night entertainment.
Yeah, I think the late night scene is pretty crowded right now, and I think they all jump around depending on who has the best guest that night. But I always normally will turn into Jimmy Fallon for the legendary Roots crew. That's going to do it for today's adventure. I'm Mr. Nooks and Crannies saying you guys have been a wonderful audience. For me to poop on. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe and tell a friend.